So what happens when your brakes break? Or don't break? If they don't break, does that mean they broke? Well, English semantics aside, my brakes are broken. Here's what happened.
Here's what happened. Here's what happened. Here's what happened. I mean, here's what really happened.
So as you may recall, about 5 months ago, I went out to Breckenridge to see my friend Nick and his shop, and we looked through pretty much the whole car, threw it up on a lift, looked at all the undercarriage, all the nuts and bolts, and figured out what was causing that weird suspension like knocking sound. Everything was tight, good to go. We did kind of briefly look at the brakes, and they seemed okay. I knew it was like coming up, but at the time, seemed fine. Recently, however, I started hearing kind of a metal on metal grinding sound from what seemed to be the rear left, which sounded suspiciously like the metal on metal grinding sound right before the last time I did my brakes. I bought it in Ohio, drove it 1,000 miles back here to Denver, and the brakes were metal on metal by the time I got back. So with my quick reaction times, I jumped onto NC Miata's website and found some brakes. Which, by the way, their new website is awesome and super easy to navigate. Just go on there, select your Miata. Of course, I've got the NC, the boat. And on the left, all the categories. In the middle, there's a few things like the calendar, 2023 calendar. Ghosty is proudly on the front cover, and I think December. So that's pretty cool. It's an old picture with before I really did anything to it. So hopefully to make it in the future years with more modifications. Anyways, on the left side, all the categories. Brakes, there's brake kits. Now, I would love to do like the high performance brake kit or the big brake kit. Honestly, the little big brake kit's kind of my like eventual goal. But for this time around, I was in a pinch, need something simple. So I am upgrading rotors slightly, going with slotted brake rotors by Sequence, front and rear. I think they look pretty cool. I've never done slotted rotors before, so. And then they also have the stock aftermarket ones, which I did last time. And then I'm actually doing stock replacement brake pads. So they are ceramics, they're cheap. Let's just see how they go. I mean, I made the last ones last a long time, and I never really had that much issue with braking performance. Sometimes I would see some brake fade on long-term like performance drives, so we'll see what the slotted brake rotors do. But then the biggest upgrade I'm doing this time around, as I mentioned, is the stainless steel brake lines by Technofit. So excited to see how these go on, and excited to see what difference they actually make. So let's check it out, because I think they just all arrived. Right, so here's what we're working with. Package number 1. Just opened it up. Oh, these are so heavy. That's like Christmas, honestly. I mean, look at that. It's even marked L for left, I'm guessing. Or loser, because they know my autocross times. Here's the stainless steel lines and instructions. That's nice. Seems straightforward enough. It'd be great to get that old rusty hardware out of there. Another rotor in there. And then C-Tech ceramic pads. Although I will say no clips. Rotor number 2. Geez, these are beefy. And as I suspected, R sticker. More ceramic pads without clips. All right, that's good to know. I'm glad I didn't destroy my old clips, taking the old pads off. Oh, these are much smaller and lighter. Well, it's still heavy, but yeah. So beyond all the obvious parts, brake rotors, pads, hoses, etc., you also need some tools. Specifically, wrenches ranging from 10, 12, 14, 17 millimeter, which could be wrenches or sockets, just depending on the bolt itself. I would have all of them around just in case. but really wrenches is technically all you need. And flathead screwdriver does help getting the brake pads off the rotors. I do recommend a hammer, maybe a rubber mallet to get the rotors off the car once the caliper's free. And you also need brake fluid if you're doing like a flush or replacing all the fluid like I am. So .4 for the NC Miata. I have heard people using .3, .4.1, .5. Really depends, but most things I saw said .4, so I'm going with that. And also brake clean. Always need brake clean. Just keep this around, honestly. Gloves are recommended, something like these, just to prevent fingerprints from getting on the pads and the rotors, because your oils from your hand can really cause them to wear a bit worse or sooner prematurely. I don't know. That's what I've been told. And you also need this thing. This is a caliper spreader aparter thing. I'm not sure what it's called. It's super cheap. Just get one. Because this is basically when you pull the pads out, they're worn down. So to fit the new pads in, the caliper needs to be expanded just a little bit. That's what this does. But let's talk about parts specifically. This is a rotor, one of the front ones, as I showed you, and it is slotted. That's what you call these ridges in the rotor itself. Now, there are also just plain blank ones. That's what it comes with from the factory. That's just smooth surface all the way around. And they're slotted like this, both front and rear, or front and back are slotted. There's also drilled, cross-drilled, which are holes in the rotors. And you've probably seen people running drilled and slotted. That's considered the most high performance option. Basically, the whole purpose of those is to dissipate the heat, because brakes generate insane amounts of heat, especially in performance driving situations like track or autocross, especially track. So that's the idea. Technically, for most driving, you're fine with just the blank rotors. A lot of upgrade can be had from just doing pads, for example, upgrading the pads. I like the look of slotted rotors, so that's why I went with these. I just think they look awesome, I guess. I don't know. But we'll see if it actually makes any sort of improvement. I'm not sure. As far as pads go, like I said, these are ceramics, which are also pretty much great for every Miata. There are other types of pads out there like semi-metallic, organic. Semi-metallic do have a bit better cold bite. They can do more intense, like high performance, longer lasting driving. They don't have quite as much brake fade, but they are noisier. They create more brake dust. There's pros and cons to all of them. For my purposes, I don't track this car. I rarely autocross this car. I do some, relatively aggressive driving, but all still within the limits. So I figured good ceramic pads are all I need. That plus the slotted rotors and the stainless steel brake lines. These might be the best improvement. We'll see. Because the car from the factory has rubber hoses. Now, a lot of people swear by replacing rubber hoses with stainless steel because like the rubber ones will actually expand a little bit, and so your pedal feel will feel like you have to push a little bit harder. They don't last quite as long, and you do have to worry about rubber component wearing over time. Versus stainless steel ones are very rigid. You don't have that brake pedal give necessarily. But I've also heard with the NC and a lot of newer cars, the rubber hoses are still plenty good. They're reinforced a bit so they don't give as much. But the argument still stands that they won't last as long. So I plan to have this car a long time. This feels like a future-proofing upgrade to me. That's why I'm going with stainless steel. And the last thing I plan on doing is cutting up a giant box over there, because it can't hurt to have cardboard spread out on the ground to pick up inevitable brake fluid losses or just junk. I don't know. I don't have that clean of a garage floor anyways. Timon kind of ruined it when he worked on his Lexus GX in here, so it's fine, right? But in the meantime, remember this? Like a year or something ago, Austin was out here and we painted my calipers. Now, they didn't come out perfect. They came out okay, but not perfect. But in that video I mentioned, next time I did brakes, I would fix that. So now I'm doing brakes. Getting everything off, pretty easy. There's two 14mm bolts back here. That's what pulls this thing off. And then I pulled the brakes off. So the fronts, they have a lot of life left actually. I replaced the brakes at 30,000 miles right when I bought the car, and now I'm at nearly 90,000. They were metal and metal after 30,000, so I've done twice the distance on completely OEM stuff than the first owner did. So I don't know how hard they braked. I pretty much downshift, rev match, engine brake all the time, so I really don't use my brakes like they did apparently. I'm just gonna retouch them with red paint and we'll see how they hold up after another few thousand miles. But that's what the front right are, so I'm gonna see what the front left and rears are like. Pull them all off, and we'll see where we're at. So the fronts were 14s, the rears are 12s as far as bolts go. It's kind of strange. So what you need to do is let go of the rear parking brake. Totally forgot that was the thing. Okay. What is that noise I've been hearing? Yep, that'll do it. Metal on metal on the inner side. The outer side has tons of life. Something wasn't very well balanced back here, I'm thinking. Okay, outer ones are all right. Inner one on its last legs. Yep. Right, so all the pads are off, which makes these a bit easier to get to. All the hardware is taken out. I taped off the little rubber seal things. The first brake caliper paint job was kind of a hack job. This is a hack job 2.0. Still a hack job. So I'm gonna touch up all these spots with caliper paint, and it still won't look perfect, but you know what? It's gonna be fine for now because I'm in kind of a time crunch as per usual. So gonna touch all 4 of these up with paint. Then once it's dry, I'll basically take them off, take the rotors off, show you the pads and rotors, how they look, and we'll start getting going on the new stuff. I am concerned by the condition of these. I mean, this is pretty rusted. Hopefully they'll be able to be removed, but we'll see. So here's the new stuff all unboxed, looking pretty. The front rotors, which are slotted, and you can see double kind of pane. I don't know what else you call them, which I think dissipates heat better. The front brake pads are also beefier. Here's the rears right here. And the rear rotors are not double paned and just a little bit smaller. And the rear brake lines, the front brake lines. Got it all out here for some neat product photos. Unboxed it, getting actual product photos with the camera. But there are also hardware here, like I said, with the stainless steel lines, which do come with the copper washers, which is nice. I'm gonna throw another coat of paint on the calipers here while it's convenient and easy to access. Looks like it is holding up okay. Not perfect, but again, the first time wasn't perfect, so the second time shouldn't be perfect. Maybe 2 wrongs do make a right. Not sure, running out of metaphors, but beautiful sunset over the mountains. Beautiful time for product photography. About 3 inches of snow on the ground. My hands are freezing. It's below freezing. And tomorrow, brakes day. Now, it's gonna be 50 degrees and sunny. It's gonna be so nice. I guarantee you all the snow, well, not the pile, but the snow and the grass will be gone by tomorrow night. That's just how insane the sun is in Colorado. And it'll be nice and warm. In fact, it'll be shorts weather. Yeah, gonna take a few more product photos there and enjoy the sunset, go to the neighborhood brewery in someone else's car, because this is on jack stands. And then tonight, reheat the garage, put some more coats on the calipers, and take the old rotors off, see how bad they are. Now, the front rotors were super bad to get off the first time I did brakes because they were the original ones from the factory, seized to the hub pretty much. And the screws, the mounting screws, were so stuck on there, had to actually drill them out, destroy the rotors to pull them off the car. Left those screws out this time, don't need them. So everything in theory should come off easily, and then ready for brakes tomorrow. Should be a fun day. Me and Ty will just jam out in the garage. We'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed, because something always goes wrong, right? Right.
Like my Miata mug. R.I.P. Matt, you shouldn't have sold your NA. Let's see how these turned out. Looks good. Solid B, B plus maybe. Gonna enjoy some coffee and then take the trash bags off. Take the old rotors off, examine them. Then Timon should be here and we'll throw on all the new stuff. Hopefully. Man, I'm nervous about those stupid brake lines. Moving the caliper fully off the wheel, basically this one was held on by a couple of, I think these are 14s or 10s, which lets you pull this off. Then you can see the caliper itself, which is compressed in. You put this out of the way. You don't want to hang it from the rubber hoses. That's really hard on those. Granted, I'm replacing these, but just for best practice. Then you're able to access the pads. So these clips were in here. You slide the pads out of the clips, pull the clips out. That's how you get those. Now, if you're just replacing pads, which a lot of people do that, they'll replace pads maybe every time and rotors like every other time. For Miatas, parts are so cheap, I'm just gonna probably do both every time. Plus, I just don't need to replace my brakes that often. These have lasted 60,000 miles, still had life to spare, like a decent amount, so I probably could have gone a full 70,000 at least. If you want to take the rotors off, you have to use a 17 mil. So, broke those loose, taking them off with my fingers now. Now this can come off, which is the rest of the caliper basically. Now my new pads did not come with clips, so I'm gonna make sure I retain all these clips and reuse them, which is kind of annoying. They're supposed to come with clips, and they typically do, but that's fine. Not the end of the world. Now the rotor can come off. Ooh. So pretty much the same story back here. These, I think these are 10s or 8s, I don't know. And that's when you can take the caliper off, which then lets you get access to everything else. Now, these are held on by a hose and also the parking brake. That's all kind of all-in-one type of thing. So it's a little bit harder to get out of the way. But once you do, you should have access to the back of this, the rest of the caliper. And those are smaller. I think they're 14s. Well, the rotors weren't seized to anything, so that's good. And you just repeat for the other side. Easy as that. Now that all four are taken off, we can get a little bit of a better look. So here's the fronts, left, right, rears, left, right. This, as I mentioned, was the the issue. Definitely metal on metal, which is wild because the other side has tons of life left. So that means something was not fully operational with a caliper, perhaps. I'm not going to say the caliper is not working. It obviously is, because I still got 60,000 miles on this pad, so that's pretty good. And all the rotors are relatively grooved for sure. Ignore the paint overspray. I just touched the paint last night, and I knew these were going to be taken off and thrown away anyways, so not an issue. But that's out with the old. Next up, putting on the new, but also figure out the brake lines. So as far as I know, we undo this bolt from up here, another bolt on the caliper itself, and that's all that holds those in. I think we do need to bleed them first, remove all the fluid from the system, because obviously there's fluid in here. So do that first, and then mum's the word. Wait, is that the right saying? Right, so got the rotor on the rears, pads on the rears. Side note, I took these out and re-greased them because it was so uneven, and when I took them out there was like no grease. So once this is out, you pull this out, and then you have the rubber sleeve, pull the bolt out, put grease on it, brake grease. It's at like every hardware store. Now we're doing brake lines. So there's a tiny bolt in the rears. Yeah, this is again the rears up here, 10 millimeter, and we're loosening it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we did the other side just to figure out what we're doing, and then the other side so that's one side of the line. Loosen this 10 millimeter bolt. Once we get it loose, we'll pull this thing out. I'll show you that. This is the banjo bolt that goes on the other side right up here. So took that out as well. It's good to have a pan for catch brake fluid because it's coming out. So I don't know. We're figuring out as we go. Some more PV blaster.
I slipped. No, didn't loosen. It slipped.
Oh.
Nope, it's just sliding on the.
Oh geez.
Hit it with brake paint. I'm mall crawling and this guy can't even park in a straight line. Jesus.
So just like every proper maintenance thing, we had to take a trip to the hardware store, get some vice grips, see if we can get this line off. I don't really know what the backup plan is.
Shoot it.
GX owners be like, dude, I can't even get up into it.
Whoops.
All right, I swear to God, if these don't work, I'm gonna be. It's too hard to do with one hand. So here's the bolt in question that's being frustrating. This guy right here, it's kind of stripped. It was a 10 mil, it's probably like a 9.5 mil now. So I'm gonna try to vice grip it loose, which will roughly destroy it in a way, but I'm gonna try to vice grip it loose and then vice grip it tight again. If that even works, I don't know. These look good. I wanted to show how this works. This thing like slid off of there, and now I'm putting it back in. By the way, we got this out. Vice grips did work to loosen it. It's a little bit stripped, but you know, whatever. But this goes in very certain way because it's like hex, and this slides in like that. And you just push it hard, and then you just tighten it back down. So that's that side, and the other side is just like we showed you on the other side, 2 washers. It comes with the washers, which is great, and a new bolt for the banjo bolt, or banjo, whatever they call this thing. Slides right in there, and we're golden. So that's how it works. Looks good. It works. I'm thrilled.
Race car.
Race car. So now it's time to bleed the brakes. So basically, there's little. This is our official system. There's a little
nub right here that you open and close to let air out and new fluid run through the entire system. As he's pushing the brakes, it's pushing the fluid throughout the entire system. So we started at the far corner, now we're at this corner, then we're gonna go to passenger and then driver corner in the front, and then we should be good to go.
Yeah, so he opens it, I push the brake pedal down, he closes it, I let the brake pedal back up.
I think that's how it works. I'm not really sure, but
yeah, no, a YouTube video last night
on the Lexus
told me
it's better. So.
And yeah, you do it from the furthest from the reservoir to the front, which in the US is passenger rear, driver rear, passenger front, driver
you drive
front.
on the left.
Yeah.
Idiot. First off, I'm the idiot for not securing the bolt on the caliper that is the brake line. So there's a bunch of fluid on the ground. And the second idiot is Jordan himself, because he painted the bolt that lets you bleed the brakes.
I went crazy with the spray paint, man.
Yeah, I can tell. Man.
DIY.
Made them all nice and dirty.
Yeah, I gotta paint them again. All right, time to bleed the last part, or second to last.
Yeah.
Now that we've gone through all that nice fluid. All right, everything's bled. No casualties. None of our blood.
Yeah. Dirty fluid, but really not that bad because he switches it often, I guess.
Yeah, I did my brake fluid 30,000 miles ago, so got that back on. Everything's pumped. The brakes feel stiff enough, so
Enough.
and as far as I know. So last step, clean it up. I'm gonna get some photos before I put wheels back on, and then I'll show you guys how to bed brakes, and that's pretty much it. We got all the stainless steel lines secured. They all look good. And yeah, so all these bolts but one, we had to use vice grips to actually loosen it, and then vice grips to tighten it. They're still workable, so it's not like they're destroyed or anything. And then
Usable.
yeah.
Not workable, usable.
And I went in the car, went full lock on both directions, steering and time, and made sure all the cables are good, because
So many things.
yeah. Everything's as far as we know, right?
Yeah.
No guarantees.
Exactly.
It is fully done, and it looks great. These rotors look amazing. Of course, they're brand new, so they look amazing for now. It'll be interesting to see how they wear with the slots. I've never done slotted rotors before. The calipers are touched up, and now they're beat up again now that me and Timon did brakes, so I don't know, I give up. There's no way to really get them proper. Like I said, I'll probably do another set of calipers at some point. Powder coated, or maybe the little big brake kit. That's the eventual end game goal. Stainless steel lines are all run, all four corners look fantastic. And like I said earlier in the video, this is the next day. It's 53 degrees, and yeah, all the snow is gone. There was at least 3 inches in the yard, and now it's literally gone. So as predicted, throw the wheels back on, and then yeah, I'll show you how to bed the brakes right now. So bedding brakes is important. It's not technically like life and death, but getting out and making sure your brake pedal feels good before you even do the bedding process. Make sure the brakes actually work, feels good. And then basically it's easy. You get up to about 35 miles an hour, and then brake hard, not fully to a stop, not hard enough to, you know, activate ABS, but here we go, 35, braking hard, down to about 5, and then go again. So you don't want to activate ABS, you don't want to come to a complete stop. 35, down to 5, braking pretty hard, not quite stopping, and keep going. So you don't want to come to a complete stop because the pads and rotors are getting warm, and they could actually sort of like pseudo melt to each other, which is not good. But basically this helps with the heat transfer, and it helps the cross section of the pad and rotor be perfectly flat against each other, because it's pretty aggressive forced braking. You want to make sure you're doing this in a safe place. Fortunately, I have this road next to me that is pretty high speed limit, so I can achieve the speeds I need to do this. So I'll turn around up here and do kind of the same thing, but so the first times they say roughly 35 miles an hour down to 5 with hard braking. And then you want to do kind of the same thing, but with like 50 miles an hour, and do it, I don't know, 4 times. So now we're at 50, hard brake. And do it again. Do the same thing. Hard brake. Not quite stopping. I'll probably do it one more time. Hard brake. All right, brakes work. That's good. So that's really all there is to bedding it. I'm gonna run these brakes for hopefully a while, see how it is with the slotted rotors,
see how the stainless steel lines feel. When I get back to my house, I'm probably gonna check brake fluid level again, see if I need to like add anything, but it should be good. It feels good. Everything's braking, which is good. And that's about it. Sorry, it was kind of a little bit crazy video during the middle of it. We were scrambling to figure out how to get those stupid bolts off for the hoses. But yeah, the brakes themselves, I don't feel like I did a great job showing how to replace the pads, but it's very simple and basic, and it's the same for pretty much every car. So if you want like very specific step-by-step instructions, there's actually much better videos out there. But for things pertaining to the Miata specifically, I feel like I did a pretty good job showing you what I did, why I did it. Stainless steel lines should be cool. Again, that was kind of a modification for future-proofing it, thinking ahead, thinking, okay, I don't want to like replace lines in a long time. I'd rather just do stainless steel ones that should last, in theory, the life of the car. And we'll see how they do with brake pedal feel, if it seems a bit stiffer. It's hard to say at this point, but I'll be touching on kind of the review of these brakes in a future video. Hopefully going to do some actual kind of performance driving, because I have a coilover video that I'm hoping to do in the works soon, as well as sway bars. Which those will involve a bit more performance driving to really feel the car and how it responds. And that's when I'll also talk about the brakes and touch on how they're doing at that point. All right, it's a bit windy, apologize. Have you seen this? This is freaking awesome. Just found it at a local brewery, well, liquor store. It's not technically local, it's from the Vale, which is in Virginia, so not local at all. But I'm freaking stoked. White Miata. White Miata. So, thanks for watching another brakes video. They're done. I love it. They look awesome. The slotted rotors are the move for sure. Some people I know do slotted and drilled. I went with slotted. No regrets, so I'm happy. And the stainless steel lines, so far they feel great. So we'll see how it feels after a while. I'm hopefully going to do some more performance driving things. I have videos coming up for coilovers and sway bars. So stay tuned, like and subscribe. Go find some White Miata, support craft brewing. I don't know if you're local to Virginia, so I can't say support local per se, but support this. This is freaking awesome. A big thanks to Timon and Mas Miata for all the help with everything. I think it turned out great. Timon really helped a lot. Just having extra person, extra hands, especially with like bleeding brakes, really is valuable. So we got them knocked out in no time, and only one trip to the hardware store. So I'd say successful-ish. So anyways, thanks for watching so much. Please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos. More content is coming down that pipeline. And yeah, I'm gonna go home, drink responsibly without driving. Cheers.